Welcome back, adventurers. In today's video, we are talking all about Tarisland and if it's the next big game for you to play. Now, if you're wondering what is Tarisland, Tarisland is an immersive open-world MMORPG set in a realm where players embark on quests and unravel a rich storyline. You can play with friends or others online and take on dungeons and raids. Now, Tarisland can be played on PC and mobile. So if you're an Albion online mobile gamer, you'll really enjoy Tarisland. Now, before my PC users click off this video at the sound of a mobile game, the great news is that it doesn't feel like a mobile game. The game really does feel like it was made for PC. I personally don't mind games that are cross-platform since it opens up a huge player base, and having more players in the game you play is always a good thing. Now, in this video, we're going to talk about class fantasy, the graphics and art style, how playing the game actually feels, the business model, solo play versus group play, and my final verdict if you should give this game a try. So without further ado, let's get into the video. First off, let's talk about class fantasy. Like most MMORPGs, Tarisland does the holy trinity of classes. If you aren't versed in the lore, it pretty much means that you have your standard tanks, healers, and DPS classes. You can check out my video on the different classes and character customizations for a more in-depth look. Now, each class has two different specializations, either tank or DPS, healing or DPS, or if it's a DPS class, they usually have two different DPS specializations. Now, each specialization comes with a customizable talent tree that allows you to make your class your own. Now, let's talk about the look of the game. I personally really like how the game looks. It has fantastic animations for your character spells and for boss mechanics. It makes the dungeons and fights feel good. The environments you find yourself in, either in dungeons or open world, are very immersive and look well done. The art style is stylistic, and that's a good thing. We've seen many games that are very realistic and quickly become outdated. I'm hoping that the game is around for years because the art style will hold up. Now let's talk about how the game feels. To me, this is probably the most important thing because if the gameplay sucks, then the game sucks. One of the main things I was worried about is the movement speed. With it being a mobile compatible, I thought it would feel a bit slow like Albion Online does. However, it doesn't. You're also given a sprint and movement speed increased abilities to counteract any movement issues. You also get a mount very early on, which will come in handy as you move through the world. Now, the targeting for the gameplay is tap targeting or by clicking, which is something I'm used to being a longtime World of Warcraft player. The combat itself is similar to a traditional MMORPG where your abilities lock in, which to me personally feels right. However, I know some players like the action combat or skill shots. The great news is that the abilities don't feel clunky. Movement and ability reaction time is very similar to World of Warcraft, which has one of the best feels when it comes to combat and movement. Now, I do want to talk about solo and group play. Tarisland does a really great job in keeping you busy with the MSQ and leads you into dungeons and group play. As of now, it doesn't feel like I have to do the MSQ in order to play the game, but more so that I want to keep doing the quests and discover more. I think that is very important. A player never wants to feel like they can't enjoy the game until they complete hours on end of mandatory quests. As much as I enjoyed Final Fantasy XIV, being late to the party really was painful. Having to do 90 to 100 hours of A Realm Reborn, another 60 of Heaven's Sword, and then realizing you still had about another 200 hours of quests before I was able to catch up to the rest of the player base, it really pushed me more towards quitting than wanting to keep going. Now, if you're a fan of open world content, dungeons, and raids, you're going to enjoy Tarisland. The boss fights feel nice. You don't need a screen full of add-ons to kill the boss, but the bosses feel difficult enough to enjoy the encounters. One thing I noticed was that getting into new gear actually felt great. I could see and feel the power increase with not going overboard. Now let's talk about the business model. Tarisland is free to play and has no subscription, which is great, but it makes you wonder on how they'll make their money. Well, that comes from their shop, of course. Now you might be thinking, oh no, there it is. This game is pay to win. Well, as of now, you can purchase purple crystals to use as currency towards consumables like health and mana pots. You can also purchase different outfits. They don't carry any sort of buffs, but when it comes to MMORPGs, sometimes getting the cool looking gear is the winning part. You can also purchase a couple of mounts as of now. My personal opinion is that if it stays this way, then it's okay. However, if it becomes something where you can purchase crafting mats and the mats are needed to make the best possible gear, then it can start feeling pay to win. I hope that they have sets of gear in dungeons and raids that look just as good as the ones in the store. It would be a win-win for everyone. Now, do I think you should play the game? My answer is yes. I think if you're an enjoyer of MMOs, you will really have fun with this game. I will add that it's the first game that I feel actually got the bard right. I feel like a bard out there killing and healing with my musical chords. If you're a mobile player, this is a great opportunity to get into a top tier MMORPG without having to spend thousands of dollars on a computer. And like a wise man once said, y'all have phones, right? If you enjoyed the video, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. I'll be covering Tarisland and other MMORPGs. Until next time, stay epic, stay legendary, and I'll see you in the next video.